Drum and bass show
with Renee LeVice. This is
Renee LeVice.
The biggest drum and bass show on the planet.
The Radio 1 Drum and Bass Show with Renee LeVice.
BBC Radio 1.
Yes, we are back. And this week, we've got a very special show for you indeed. In the studio with me right now, I've got the one and only, the G, Goldie. How you doing, mate?
Good, man. Really good. Really, really good. Really, really good.
Amazing. Well, we're going to get even better. We're going to keep things rolling. It's the Metalheadz label focus today. So let's kick it off with this. One of my personal favorites from the entire Metalheadz catalog, and an absolute smasher. This is DK and Lee with Tuning, the VIP.
My will alone. They call this ability Julie.
Renee LeVice.
drum and bass show
with Rene LeVice.
Yes, we are here. Getting into it, kicking it off with some energy. As Benny L with the low blow, VIP. And Goldie just leaned over, he goes, you know, there's another VIP of this. Which I'm very excited to hear.
I'm sure it says somewhere. Dig deep.
I need that.
We got vaults in this thing.
Well, listen, we're getting into this right now as well. This is Goldie and Jubei with The Prayer, the Blocks and Escher remix.
I've heard this for a long time. All right.
What do you say? Should we let it rip?
Yeah, let it rip.
Let's do it.
Rip.
Right about now, you are in tune to the one and only Canadian barbarian, the original dubplate specialist, Rene LeVice.
Metalheadz label focus.
Love that. G looks over, he goes, I forgot about this one, man.
Yeah, man, it's even me, I get surprised about how much kind of arms is in this label. So
That's the depth of this thing. Once again, we're in the Metalheadz label focus, and that's where we take a label. We focus on it for the entire show. It's basically, you know, it's a highlight of everything they've done and getting into current events as well. So this week, we've got Goldie in the hot seat. We've got Metalheadz. We're going to have a guest mix from Scar, a short one. We're going to get into Grey Code with a guest mix. We're going to chat to both those guys, and we're going to have a D&B 60. Excuse me, I said a D&B 60. Uh-huh. From Goldie himself.
Yeah, that's how we do.
How amazing is that? Are you excited?
Yeah, man, it's been good to just sit down and just go, what the hell's going on with this label? You know what I mean? It's just,
right?
The iconic self is bigger than all of us. You know,
Mad.
it's just, that's what it is.
All right, well, listen, there's a lot of history. We all know there's a lot of history. 25 years of it as of this date. Well, not exactly this date, but this year. Yeah. Can you remember the day?
Well, it was over a 2-year period. period. This is why we're kind of spanning it. The reason why is because we had dub plates out on the back end of Reinforced that was lasting like over a 2-year period before me and Scotty established Rider's Ghost.
Yeah.
And then obviously it took a year for that to come out anyway.
Wow. All right. So, you mean you go from that moment all the way to the current 25-year birthday of this. You've had such a big career with films and different art forms and all the, like, where does this rank on your career successes?
Well, I mean, it's iconic. I looked at the front cover of Trace magazine. That was 35 years ago, that cover. And it had Crazy Legs, Cool Herc, and me on the front cover. You know, so I think the title was B-Boy Forever. And I think that whole B-Boy eclecticism was the main idea for what Metalheadz was about.
Wicked.
An inherent of Mark and Digo. They taught me everything I know in terms of breakbeat. You know, I just broke into my own thing of doing that. You know, meeting Scotty was probably the most seminal thing. Groove Rider and Scotty. And Scotty came down to a record shop in Green Lanes. And, you know, I'd heard This Is Deranged, which was just the most insane thing that he'd done. And of course, you know, it's not like he's gone anywhere. He's more present now than he ever was. I think people didn't realise it was being out of trend in the sense of what that music is now. That stuff that we were called left field for so long. And really, we were just right down the middle, man. And everyone else kind of fluttered off and done lighter stuff.
Paving the way.
Yeah.
For the new sounds.
I think it's just a testament, really, because the icon itself, and Kemi always said that this icon is just so powerful. The skull, the headphones, music will last longer than all of us.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. And
talking about vibes, how was the vibe at Printworks for the celebration?
5,000 people, and it was full by 3:30.
Good birthday party?
Really good birthday party, but what was even more prolific was that you got guys like 50 and kids that were 18.
Right.
They were there. The demographic was insane. You know, Alex Baby, from Stu Crew and all those guys that come up when I was coming up in the 90s, and just amazing people that love the music. It's strange.
I want to get into this. Is one of my favorite tunes on the label, Angel.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always been there's like 5 or 6 versions of it. Yeah,
it's part of the culture. Why don't we get into this one?
Yeah,
one of my personal favorites because I'm selfish.
Yeah, do that.
And I love this so much. Let's indulge in this. This is Roughage Crew with Angel. This is the TB remix.
Vice, label Focus. Drum and bass show.
Wow. That right there.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah, Ryder, when he drawed that out, that was mayhem. TB's always been one of the most prolific producers in this scene anyway.
Okay, still is. And for reference, that we're referring to is Roughage Crew, Angel, the TB remix. It's one of my favorite tracks on the label. Brings back a load of memories. I'm sure they're different memories from what you had.
TB, you know, he was vetted on that, and when he did that, it's a different version. And I mean, the version that Scar working on now, and that me and James are going to finish off, and we've got Faze's lovely lady is getting involved in that and doing the vocal, and she's doing her take on that, which is amazing.
It's funny because you say you're mostly like an ideas man, for lack of a better way to put it, but you're making this music with people that's incredibly technologically advanced and stuff. Like, do you see current technological trends and stuff affecting the way producers make music, especially in regards to Metalheadz?
I've always listen, I've been doing this music since it was black and white going vertically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
For reference, what he's talking about is like trackers, based tracking programs.
Creator, which would move vertically in black and white.
With numbers for the notes. Yeah. We're talking about the software that you use to actually make the music on a computer, which you'd probably need a math degree to really understand back in the day.
So for me, it's just having the vision. If you've got the vision, you can do anything. It's the canvas for me. I mean, these artists, you know, I speak to them. I A&R these guys.
And who are the artists that are inspiring you right now?
On the label, I mean, Faze's new album, I mean, there's a track on there called Thirds, which is just like, I think he just tore out 3 pages from 4 Hero. He's in a 4 Hero, which I never thought he had. And I always say to them, listen, it's all right when you start talking, you know, people start banging around about an album, they do 8 tracks. When you get to 12 tracks, that last 4 tracks differentiates the difference between a real artist. And that's the power of it. And you look at Grey Code, what he's doing, I think it's probably the closest thing to a version of it I've seen.
We're going to chat to him soon. In the 90s, we're talking about this futuristic sound. We're talking about the way you guys innovate and the sound of rebellious multicultural youth. Do you think that Metalheadz still has that appeal, that drum and bass still has that appeal 25 years later?
I think drum and bass has a general appeal generally. I mean, it's really, this music has gone global, but I think Metalheadz for me is really the Motown of electronic music, because we've got this depth of catalogue.
We were talking about the sort of genesis of Metalheadz earlier, about how you had that meeting at your house with Fotek and a bunch of other artists thinking, what are we going to call this?
What do we call it? I mean,
what do we call this?
Well,
that's how deep this goes.
Yeah, I know.
All the way back to then.
It's really weird because when you think about what Fabio was, when Fabio coined the phrase urban jungle, that always resonated with me.
I've never heard that, you know?
Yeah, well,
I've never heard that been told that way.
Fabio was the first person to say, yeah, man, urban jungle, that's what we're playing at Rage. And for me, that really gave me the idea, along with Groove, you know.
Did he laugh after that? Did he go, ha?
Kind of thing, yeah. Moments. But, you know, Groove was the one that named the label because he said, I'm playing some metal tonight. Yeah. You know, I've got the heads in the house, which is basically the skull, and it was on a dub plate, so it was acetates. So that's where the name came from. I thought, that's great. I think it was on Kiss at the time. Let's just call it Metalheadz with a Z.
Well, listen, we're talking about the technological aspect of the music, what the culture means to us today, and here's a track which technologically and emotionally, it's that meeting of technology and emotion. Comics. Talk to Frank. This track means so much to me in so many different ways.
It was the best solo album by any artist. These 2 guys with Guy and George, the best artist album that's come out of D&B.
I mean,
since Timeless. For me, since Timeless, for sure.
Since Timeless,
for sure.
Should we get into this?
Get in.
So if you don't know it already and it's new to you, it's a sound as fresh as it did some 10 years ago?
Longer, yeah,
a little bit longer. Oh, man. Still futuristic, still amazing, still so soulful. This is Comics.
I played it Saturday.
Yeah.
It's mental.
With Talk to Frank. I'm waiting for the dub, bro. I'm waiting for the next dub. Here we go. Let's get into it. Talk to Frank. Once again, I got Goldie in the hot seat. It's the Metalheadz label Focus on the Radio 1 Drum and Bass Show with Renee LeVice. Let's go.
Yo, this is Drum and Bass on the Radio 1.
Metalheadz label Focus.
I love that. We just had a little rave out in the studio, man. I was going nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty
bouncing around, spinning around on my chair.
There you go.
Comics. Talk to Frank.
Yeah.
All right, sitting next to G.
Yeah, my boy.
The Goldie.
Yeah, these are the Guardians, these ones, yeah.
He's, of course, referring to the 4 capital letters, Scar.
Yeah.
How you guys feeling?
Yeah, good. Good,
Yeah?
man. Yeah, good, man.
Sweet. Well, we've got you in for a guest mix. What have you got for this mix? What's your inspiration?
So we sort of just went through a little bit of our back catalogue. There's a couple of little exclusive VIP thing in there.
Yeah.
Starting off our new album as well.
As long as it's not Caterpillar,
You know.
it's fine. Don't give him.
No.
What's that? Hold on.
Nothing.
Okay. Oh, you know. Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, you know, they come in here, they drop these hints about the dubs. They give me anxiety. Thinking I ain't got the dubs.
Somebody saying about Conductor, the other side.
All right. Anyway, how'd you two meet?
We met years ago in Camden.
Years
ago in Camden. I was working out, I was pimping tunes out of Zoom with Billy the Fish. And Horace used to have a store in the market, and I used to come across these guys.
So what's been the craziest thing that's happened since you guys got together, you know, on the label release-wise?
I think for me, Project Orchid was another album. When we started moving into the grown-ups of the label, so to speak, we're doing albums. Orchid Project was phenomenal. I felt the depth of these guys.
Wow.
Were far out, and they were working with Naomi Pryor at the time, and there's a couple of really great tunes on there that I really love.
You've got new music coming up, though, as well.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, well, we got our new album coming out soon.
Albums? We just done a 3-year deal. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, there you go. There's that as well.
There you go, yeah.
Well, they've always been the strength of the kind of backbone, the spine, and these guys really have now become the new vets, the veterans, really. So the deal's been done, and these guys are going to, you know, while I'm away in Asia, they're going to make sure that no one's messing around.
Yeah, no, we've been proper busy in the studio. You know, like I said, just finished the second album for Heads.
Right.
About 2021, something like that.
Cool.
We've got quite a few tunes in the folder at the moment. We're quite happy with them. We're
And you're gonna cut that
dedicated
down.
and just
A few. You're having a laugh.
quite a few. Yeah,
And
just,
bubble, mate.
you know,
There's a lot of tunes.
right in music.
My biggest problem is deciding what doesn't make the grade, what doesn't make the album.
Yeah.
Which you don't get that with artists. You've got to hand it, you know what I mean? And the artists on this label, it's like there's so much music. It's survival of the fittest with these guys.
You're listening to the Radio 1 Drum and Bass Show. It's the Metalheadz label Focus. And right now, we're going to get into the mix with Scar.
Renee LeVice, label Focus. BBC Radio 1's Drum and Bass Show.
Original gonna fall.
Your essential guide to the world of drum and bass.
BBC Radio 1's Drum and Bass Show.
Was Scar in the guest mix, absolutely killing it for the last 15 minutes. And now we are back with Goldie in Hot Seat.
Yeah.
And who's next to you right now?
Man, this is the protege. This is the one. This kid here.
Been hearing some things.
Spencer Warren is his name.
All right.
Grey Code is his artist profile. I'm just, I don't embarrass you here, but it's probably the closest thing to me I've seen. This guy's prolific producer. Prolific, 21 years old. And
he's blushing.
And I just think he's got a bright future. I mean, I really mean that it's there for him, the longevity of it. I promised his mother and father I would make sure I look after him because they're, he's a top boy. He's done his, uni. He'll tell you a little bit about that. But he's the guy that I will wake up at 3 a.m. and drill it into his head.
You're backing him. Yep. You're singing his praises. Greyco, what got you into this crazy music we call drum and bass and jungle?
Well, I originally got in through dubstep around like 2012, and then it was just like a natural progression. I started going record shopping, and then from there I heard more drum and bass, and I was like, actually, I was like, oh, this is cool dubstep. It's a bit faster. I quite like this, and then I got into it from that.
I love that.
It's just insane.
The amount of time.
It's the other way around as well. It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
That's dubstep.
I know.
I love it. That's so good.
Dubstep's brilliant.
And what's how did you get linked up with this crazy old G?
Well, I sent across, it was Ethics.
I think it was Ethics.
Yeah, it was
in my mind. Yeah,
January of 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And from that was it.
There's that tune, that one tune that just sparks it off, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, also I'd heard a lot of other bits. I'd heard a lot about him because obviously Anthony brought him through. I think Dispatch, he did his first release. And I had to get the Dark Lord Sith to step aside while Obi-Wan Kenobi comes in, looks after the new Luke Skywalker. And since then he'd been doing all these things. But I thought, you know what, Journeyman, River, and they tore it a new one and played after me at Egg at 6 a.m. and destroyed the place, which was amazing.
Did you want to select a track actually for us to play?
Yeah, so the first time I'd heard this tune and it was like game changing. And I didn't realise how old he was. I'm like, wow, the production level, arrangement. Here it is, Ethics, Grey Code.
And on the other side of this, we're going to get into the mix with Grey Code.
The Drum and Bass Show.
Your essential guide to the world of drum and bass.
BBC Radio 1's Drum and Bass Show.
Yes, so that was Grey Code with Ethics. And Mr. Grey Code, what have you got in this mix? What you got coming up for us?
Well, we got a lot of new unreleased stuff. Some forthcoming soon. Some
I like that
forthcoming
answer.
later.
I love when people say that.
And then a couple new bits of some mates here and there, but mostly heads and mostly mine.
Well, the River's on there.
And the River's on there.
The River's on
Yeah.
there. That remix was the best thing that, any young boy's ever done. I mean, I just thought, what the hell when I heard that song.
Killer. All right, let's see what the young Luke Skywalker of Metalheadz has to say for this. So let's see, for the next 15 minutes.
You've got your work cut out for you now, sunshine.
Right, so for the next 15 minutes, hold it down. We got Grey Code on the decks. Take it away.
Yo, this is Drum and Bass on Radio 1.
Metalheadz Label Focus.
BBC Radio 1's Drum and Bass Show. the drum and bass show. Vice, label Focus.
And it's that river. That river holds my mind in a lullaby.
So you just heard Grey Code in the mix for the last 15 minutes, and we still got Goldie in the hot seat.
Yeah.
The Metalheadz label focus.
Deep. It's good.
We are.
It's good. That kid's good, man. It's good that I've got the old guard and the new guard there, you know. A nice perspective.
It's crazy, man. It speaks to the like anyone who's into this music. It's crossed generational boundaries, multicultural boundaries. I mean, throughout this whole journey, what's the hardest lesson that you've learned in the music industry?
I don't know. There's nothing I'd change. I think the label, you know, I wouldn't sell it to anyone. I wouldn't get rid of it. I wouldn't it was that idea of keeping it integral was always the main priority.
I mean, the industry's tough.
Yeah, and we were approached by a lot of people late 90s to try and move it, and we didn't want to do that. And I think that the idea of keeping it intact, and I think you look at from the first 100 releases and the next we changed the cat number to Meta, and we started at 001 again, just to be able to reinvent the label in its entirety, as opposed to going, you know, we're on the 170th release or whatever. And that's really important. And I think even better is having a label manager that really understands it. And Anthony's been unbelievable in the way that he executes the path and what my thoughts are, and especially the artistic endeavours, and also runs it very tight. It's a work of art now, as far as we're concerned.
Is the lesson there then to stick to your guns?
Stick to your guns, you know, you just don't go off piece, man. Just, you know, we will always be in and out of trend at some point. We were 2001 to 2006. You couldn't do it. We just kept going through it. You know what I mean? And I think now they release schedules like we're 2 years in advance. And the difference between 2 years in advance is that the records that are coming out, we heard them 2 years ago. Yeah. And they're integral. Excuse the pun, they are timeless pieces of music. And that's the difference. That if you look back on a lot of labels, no disrespect, it sounds, even though we've had sometimes this nostalgia sound from the first 20 releases, 30 releases, you look at Metalheadz in general, I can play a 25-year set and go back and forth in time, man, and there's no difference.
The thing I want to highlight for people here is we're not just blowing hot air here. This is that you can go to a club and you're going to hear Vanta Black double dropped with everything under the sun in everyone's set.
Andy was doing it in his set for a while. I think he's still doing it with Vanta Black in Inner City Life, right?
Inner City Life.
It's crazy. Right. And I heard D-Bridge do, you know, Phantom Force Inner City Life, and it's just crazy the amount of depth that the label does have.
The way it crosses through so many boundaries. This tapestry, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, that's great. That's good to send a little message out there to like aspiring producers like Grey Code who are going to come through.
Well, you know, I mean, you look at FaZe and you look at what he's doing now. That album, I think when that drops, is going to be hell to pay for a lot of people. And then the surprise EP of the year, there's got to be, you know, yourself with Future Cut. That's a great EP, amazing. Because I never expected that. It came out of nowhere.
I'm very excited that you mentioned that, actually.
And then if you want the double drop of that, the Nookie EP is insane, man. The track called Rage, There's 3 tracks on there that are just like, he's done a 170 version and a 155 version of the same track.
Right.
And it's just mind-blowing. Like, just mind-blowing.
Gee, it's going to be a big year, man.
Big year. Kingdom's coming out.
It just doesn't stop. This is so great,
Yeah, you got
man.
Kingdom Digital.
You must really feel like you're on the cusp of a wave right now.
I think it's
like
the best.
It goes in waves,
yeah,
right?
It goes in waves, but this is the best we've ever been, what we've got coming out.
So, over the next hour, you're going to be giving us a D&B 60. What can we expect?
Man, it's going to expect some hell to pay. I mean, the idea of the eclecticism of the label and going back and forth in time, what it's got, and my favourite B-side babies, which are kind of A-sides, but they're my favourite tunes that not necessarily. And a few new pieces. I mean, John B, man. I mean, that him and Digital getting together to do an EP. Now, you know already with those 2 names, the producers in their own right. Now, that's going to be interesting.
Very cool, man. Can't wait to hear it. This is Goldie for the next 60 minutes in the D&B 60.
Peace.